Maureen Agena, so you can call me whichever name you're comfortable with. You can either call me Maureen or you can call me Agena. I'm okay with that. And today we'll be looking at mainly microblogging under the aspect of social media. And while discussing with Andre, we agreed to focus on Facebook and Twitter for today's session. So we'll run through the theory very quickly and then get into the hands-on, because that's what we really want to learn today. And maybe as I speak, as I take you through each of these two platforms, I would request that if we can, for those of us who manage the country platforms for of Facebook and Twitter for our particular countries, we have them open, so that when we get into the practical session, we just get straight into the practical work. So without wasting much more time, it's already 11 minutes past 3. I'll go straight into the presentation for today, and then we'll take it from there. So we'll start with Twitter as a platform, and then we'll move to Facebook after a couple of practical sessions. So I'm going to share my screen, and please let me know if you can see what's on the screen.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, I just need to put it in slideshow. Is it visible?
Yes, perfect.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much once again, everyone. So we're going to start with, like I said, the microblogging platform called Twitter. So just like we would in a physical meeting, we usually have housekeeping rules, and we'll try to make this similar to a face-to-face meeting in a way. So it's just a plea that we keep our phones in silent mode, just not to interrupt, and especially if we are using direct audio from the computer, not microphones. And then, I mean earphones, and then we mute our microphones when we are not speaking, so we can listen to the speaker at the time. And then we have an option of raising a hand like we would physically. If you have a question, if you have a burning comment to make, please, you're allowed to interrupt. And then, of course, being adult learners, it's important to respect divergent views, because we all learn differently, we all understand things differently. And so we have to just be accommodative. And then I request that we participate very actively. We can either raise our hands and you unmute and speak verbally, or you can send your concern or question through the chat or Q&A function. And like I said, we are adult learners, so no answer is wrong, no contribution is wrong. These are new things to us, and we keep learning. So those are some of our housekeeping rules, and we'll go straight into today's session. So like I mentioned, we are talking about microblogging today, and we are focusing mainly on a platform known as Twitter. Assuming that most of us have interacted with this platform, but I will get to know maybe during the practical session if there are any people who have not interacted with Twitter. So when we talk about micro and blogging, we have to first understand what blogging is. Blogging essentially means writing. Blogging is just writing and uploading content on platforms normally described as blog platforms. So when you talk of microblogging, it's writing, but in a reduced format, like in a very micro format, very small text or very small content as compared to an article, say, of 600 words or 700 words. So even when you use Facebook, you're actually microblogging. But the term microblogging is very much associated to Twitter, because it seems to be the most adopted platform for microblogging. So with microblogging, users are allowed to write brief updates, and Twitter, I think they upgraded from about 140 characters to now 270 characters. And when you write, you're able to publish them and you're able to restrict who views them. That is, either you leave your content as publicly viewed, or you can restrict it to a group of a chosen few users, like you've done with your mailing lists. It's people within the network who can see what's on your mailing list. So, but if you restrict it, the whole essence of social media loses meaning. So we usually don't encourage members to restrict their audiences, especially when using Twitter. I want us to watch a very brief video on Twitter. It's very highly summarized, it's about 3 minutes, and then we can continue with the training.
Unfortunately, we can't hear the sound.
You can't hear the volume?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, let me see what I can do to try and.
Maybe you explain while it runs, because it's tricky
okay.
sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So it's about Twitter and it being everywhere. Organizations being involved and interested in Twitter. And the idea is that it helps you stay informed and it keeps people networked. So when you sign up to Twitter, you follow specific accounts that are in line with what you do. And you're supposed to update your accounts as often as possible, because that's how you keep your followers interested. So in that way, you create a relationship and a community of practice of the people who you would want to interest. So they're giving an example of someone who uses a mobile van to do his business. So he would show up where there's a crowd to sell. So when he opened Twitter, people know that the van is around and people just follow. So he keeps informing them, I'm coming, I'll be here, and all that, so people gather. They're just trying to explain the power that Twitter has. So I think that's pretty much it in summary. It's unfortunate the video couldn't play, the audio couldn't be heard, but I'll try to find a way of playing it maybe later. So let me just move on. There's a big question, why Twitter? Why do people use Twitter a lot? Initially, when it started, people had this perception that it's for young people, it's for a certain generation of people, and it's a platform that is, it's not for serious kind of conversations or businesses or organizations. It was just a perception and a misconception. And that applied to all other social networking platforms like Facebook. But later on, people discovered that actually that's not the case, because world over, if you check all global celebrities, all global personalities, and all their ranks and might are on Twitter. And they realized that that's where the conversations happen. So people started to slowly adopt and appreciate what Twitter does. And so some of the reasons why people use Twitter is about the conventional conversational mode. It's very easy. I mean, you just write short posts and keep sending them. And rarely do people really get tired of that unless you really overdo it. Unlike a blog, you can't send, let's say, 5 blogs in a day, but you can do that with Twitter. So the messages are very brief and they're very easy to digest and share and internalize. So that mode of conversation made it easy for people to adapt it, but also the simplicity and the mobility of Twitter. So it's really, like they say, shorthand. It's not too much text, not too much words, but also the fact that you go beyond your let's say laptop or desktop, or all those gadgets that inhibit your mobility. So you can use Twitter on mobile gadgets, smartphones, on tablets and all that. So it's, besides being simple to use, there's that aspect of mobility. And then, of course, there's no right way to use Twitter. There are people who post text, there are people who just post pictures, there are people who just, who just respond to comments. There's nothing like very strict rules that, this is what you have to do. And if you don't do it this way, you can't communicate on Twitter. The only limitation is, of course, the characters that we say, the 270 characters. That's what will limit you. But otherwise, there is no right way to use it. You can use it whichever way you choose to. And then, sorry. Okay, yeah. So another reason why people opted to adopt Twitter, it's quick to respond to. For those of you who have used it, you just click reply and respond instantly. And then it, like I said earlier, it supports the integration of mobile telephony due to the size of the messages, because the size the message is really micro, so it can support mobile telephones and tablets and all that. So it also allows not only to enrich your intimate social connections, that is the people who are really known to you, but also you enrich your less intimate. Those are the weak links. And when I say weak links, I mean, if, for instance, let's say Andre has me as a follower on Twitter, we'll understand those terms as we go on. If he has me as a follower on Twitter, and I have other people who follow me who are not necessarily Andre's friends, when he shares something and I reshare that something, the people who are connected to me can see it, even if they are not directly connected to him. So those are the weak ties, but in a way, you're trying to influence a certain kind of conversation through other people's links. And then, of course, finally, it's that's where news breaks. That's what they say on Twitter. They actually say people in the mainstream media usually pick their clues to news from social networking platforms, especially Twitter. For those of you who follow a lot of global events, you've seen the outgoing president of the US, a lot of his news and announcements and all that is broken on Twitter. So people get highlights of what's happening there, but again, they still go to mainstream media to now check the authenticity of that, and we'll look at that as we go on, why it's important. So we'll be doing practicals shortly, but the way to access Twitter, of course, is through that URL, www.twitter.com. And I know most people use either Android or iPhones. So those are the apps you can download if you have an Android gadget. That is, if you're not using your computer to access Twitter, you can download Twitter from Play Store. And if you have Apple, it's the iOS. So that you have the app on your phone, and the symbol is a bird, a blue bird. So when you go to the Play Store, iOS store, you can download that. So what are some of the terminologies in Twitter? These are some of the things that confuse people. So we'll go right into it. The first is a Twitter handle. So a Twitter handle is equivalent to your username on Twitter. And it's written as with the @ sign at the beginning. So a Twitter handle is an equivalent. For instance, if they say, what's your email address? You will say, agenamorin@gmail.com. So if someone says, what's your Twitter handle? You will say @ and you mention the Twitter handle. So in this case, for instance, the AFAAS is @AFAAS.info. So it's your username on Twitter. And then a tweet, that is what you post or update. People refer to that as tweet or just tweets. You can see the difference is just in the spelling. But the official term is the tweet with the double E, which is used officially as the message that is posted or updated on Twitter. And today, it's not longer than 270 characters. When Twitter first started, it was about 140 characters. But with the changes and integration, they improved and increased the characters to 70. And then the @ sign, which usually appears before your Twitter handle, it's used to call out usernames on Twitter. And I think it's the same function we also have on Facebook. So for instance, if you want AFAAS to notice that you've mentioned them somewhere in your tweet, you have to use the @ sign and then include the hand of the person. It has to precede the name of the user of that Twitter. And it becomes a link, and we'll see that when we're doing our practicals. But that same @ sign is used for mentions and replies. So when you're responding, say, for instance, if Elizabeth is on Twitter and she has written to me and I want to respond, I have to include the @ Elizabeth for her to be able to see it as a notification when I update the tweet. Then we have the hashtag, and the symbol is the hash, and it's used before a relevant keyword or phrase in your tweet. And this hashtag is usually used, say for instance, for campaigns, and then maybe to follow a certain event. And I use the one of which is relevant to us, really, agricultural extension and advisory services. So for instance, if there's an event on this and the team agrees that this is the hashtag we are going to use. So for every tweet you upload, you have to include that hashtag and the hash word that goes with it. Why? It's because if I miss the event in real time, I can always go back to Twitter and look out for that hashtag, and I will be able to see all the tweets that were uploaded with that hashtag. So I can follow a conversation or a debate even when it's long gone and done. So that's the function of the hashtag. And then there's the retweet, which is usually portrayed as RT on Twitter. And it simply means like the function in email, which means forward. Okay, retweet is the same as forwarding something. So you're republishing what someone has already tweeted or written. Most times people retweet because they're in agreement with the message of the tweet, or they find it important for other people to know. And you've seen for some people, especially people in very sensitive positions in our communities, they usually write in their bios that retweets are not endorsements. But it's because sometimes you can retweet something very innocently, and then it ends up causing you a lot of problems. So it's also very careful not to just retweet anything. You have to really be sure to defend it, because retweeting it means you're endorsing something and agreeing with it. And finally, there's the favorite, which is represented with the heart symbol, which very many people look at as the symbol of love. But it mainly means what it is, really. You like the message of the tweet, so you just click on that symbol to signify that. So some of the things we can do when we are using Twitter, we can follow people and organizations, and we are going to do that practically. We can create and post tweets. We can reply to tweets or mention someone. We can retweet, follow events using hashtags, like I mentioned, search for keywords using hashtags, and then creating and managing lists on Twitter. And of course, we can create polls. So without further ado, I would like to request that we do some practicals to that effect, and then we see how we move forward. So like I said in the beginning, I hope all those attending have their Twitter pages open. We would encourage organizational pages, but if you don't, you can still do the personal page. So up to this point, before we start, do we have any comments, any questions, any feedback? I will appreciate that.
Seems there's no back. I just want to ask, who is Techno P904? Techno P904, please rename yourself. Or just write in the chat box, what's your name, so that we can rename you.
Okay, since there are no questions, I still want to try and play the video. Let's see if it can play. It's official. Twitter is everywhere, and a lot of friends. Is the audio now clearer?
No,
Nothing.
still very low. Still very low.
Oh my God. Okay. All right, then we'll just omit that. We'll see how we can do it in maybe the next training. But up to this point, do we have any questions, any comments? Or we go to our practical session?
I think we can go straight to the practical session. But before we go to the practical session, I would like to ask, can you raise your hand if you have already used Twitter before?
Yeah.
You know how to raise your hand, eh? Please click on hand raised so that we can see if you have already used Twitter before. So Buddy has used, Malala has used. Whom else? Please raise your hand so that we know how many of you here has been using Twitter. Thomas, Sylvia, Brenda, Divine, Kenneth.
Oh, yeah, quite a number.
Yeah.
Which makes it good for us.
It seems Agena hasn't. Okay, Amsalu, you haven't. Celine, Elizabeth, Fatefa, Ibrahim, Nestor, Ngepi, Bebel, Zwane, Samuel, Techno. So these haven't used Twitter before, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So you know approximately the audience now.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll have to do practice to show how it works.
Yes, I think that's what we should do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll still share my screen, and then because I'd thought that we would all be on the same page, especially those who are from the country forum, because I saw in one of the reporting templates, there was something like the number of tweets people should have posted every month, Facebook posts. And so my assumption was everyone is using it, but it's good to know that there are people who are not, and I'll be very happy to guide them through. So
that's
maybe
that's why they haven't posted anything yet, because they are waiting for this training. So after this training, everybody will tweet and post. You'll see how often we will be overwhelmed with messages.
I hope we get overwhelmed. Anyway,
Okay.
so maybe for starters, like I said, if you're using the phone, please just go. If you're on Android, please just go to Play Store and download the app. That's the very basic where we start from. You download the app, you register, like you registered to join other social networks if you're on other social networks. And then you will have the account you verify. They'll send an email for you to verify to your email address, and then you verify and you'll be on Twitter. And if you're on Apple, again, iOS, you download the Twitter app. If you're using your laptop, just go to www.twitter.com. If you can see you just go to it's just that I'm already logged in. You just go to www.twitter, you can see this, and then you sign up. You sign up on www.twitter.com. So usually when you sign up, everything is really empty. It's blank, and There are no pictures, there's no bio, there's nothing. So what we'll start by doing is to try and edit what our picture profiles look like. So in our assignment, we had said in the practical session, we had said we will first of all edit our bios. So if you open, if you don't have an account, you open. If you have, please log into your Twitter page. It can be your personal, because the same knowledge applies, or the organizational one, but we would prefer the organizational one. So we are going to start by editing our bios. And how we edit is, can everyone see the screen? When you're
Yes, you can.
Okay, so where the cursor is where you click edit profile. So when you click edit profile, you have something like this appear. So we'll start with, we will start with editing our cover picture. If you see, there are two icons on that screen. There's one of a camera and there's an X, which means close. This one means like you don't want to do anything. So if you click on the camera, for instance, like this, you should be able to edit. So you can choose from, it should take you to your normal desktop folders. So you should be able, if you have pictures, for instance, you should be able to pick from those and then upload. I wouldn't want to change because I don't have the original picture, unless Andre, you don't mind if I changed and then you can change it back.
No, you just show. You have shown how to do it. That's enough.
Okay, so I'm hoping
because people will be notified as soon as you change it. A lot of people will be notified.
Okay, so for those of us who are on the pages, either personal or organizational, we just click on this image and then it will take us to a folder where we want to pick, and then we can change. If you're doing an organizational account, please try to make the picture relate to the nature. Either it can be a workshop or a field activity or a banner about the organization. Don't make it a personal picture. It should be in line with the organization. The same applies to the profile picture. So there are two aspects of editing the pictures. There's the banner picture, and then there's the profile picture. Still, there's an image of a camera. You do the same thing, you click, and then it will again take you to your folders where you can pick a picture. So again, if this is your personal page, you're allowed to put your personal picture here. I mean, it should represent you, really, so that people can easily identify you. So that's how you edit the photo bit. That's the cover picture and the bio picture. Then we come to the name. How would you want people to see you on Twitter? So for instance, this is the AFAAS tweet official account. So definitely we'll put the name AFAAS Africa. It should be short and should still communicate. So that's the abbreviation for the organization, which everyone really relates with. If you've seen other organizations, they do the same. The name, they don't write the complete full name because they have to keep it short. And that appears as a prefix to a lot of your tweets. So for instance, you've seen FARA, you've seen AGRA, you've seen FAO. And then after you've put a brief name, you put the bio. Now that describes what you're all about. If it's an organization, what is it? What is it about? So for instance, the bio here for AFAAS, we said this account, of course, it's not yet verified. We hope it will. This bio says the official account for African Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services is an umbrella organization for agricultural advisory services in Africa. And that's it. I mean, it's that simple, and that's what it is. So the bio again should be very brief. And then of course you put your location. Of course, there's a limit to each of those. There are characters that will limit you on each of these these aspects of editing the account. And then you put your location. It can be, you can put your city and country, or you can simply put your country. And then the most important thing also, the website. If you don't have an organizational website and you have a blog, you can put the link to that blog, because the only thing that can appear here is in the format of a website, which is a URL. So, but this is very important, because at the end of the day, when someone reads that brief bio, they go to the website for more information. And then, of course, if you want to add the date of birth and all that, you can put it. If you've opened your Twitter today, your date of birth would be today, 24th November 2020. So that's how you edit your Twitter bio. Now, when you're done editing, you save. Just click save. And when you click save, this is what will appear. Okay? So this will be the picture you chose. This is the profile, your profile picture you chose. And since we are saying it's AFAAS, we put the logo. That's the best thing that can describe the organization in the bio. And then we have the other name. You see it, it's here, AFAAS Africa. That's the name we chose. And then this is the bio description that we had, okay? And then you can see our country, the GIS, the location. We have our website here, and it says we joined in 2013. So up to this point, are we clear, or do we have any questions before I move on?
I think everything is clear now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe we can do a quick poll, if we agree.
Okay.
I have 4 questions based on what was just presented. So, okay, let me just launch it. Do you see the poll now?
Yes.
Let's take 2 minutes to complete this. It's just 4 very easy questions.
Okay.
So the first 3 questions is one single choice, but the last one is multiple choice. So you can click more than one. And the 4th question. So have you used Twitter before? No, yes, or you have just tried some time ago. And if you have used Twitter before, if you haven't used, will you use it now? If you have, and if you haven't used before, so have you learned enough to be able to use Twitter from now? And lastly, what will you do from now? So you will continue learning and practicing Twitter, or open a new Twitter account if you haven't got yet, or tweet more if you already have. So you will tweet more. And eventually you can also train your team, your country fora. So we got 4 answers from the 17 participants now. Can we have more answers, please? 30 more seconds. So Maureen.
Yes.
How do you know that a Twitter account is successful?
I think one of the ways to know is how active the account is. Yeah. By active, I mean how frequently you upload content and how frequently people respond to it. It doesn't have to be 100 people or anything. Even 5 people are good enough. But how fast do they respond to the content? How interested are they when they respond? How often are you tagged into things that are in line with your organization's work. So that is how you gauge sometimes the success of your Twitter, because sometimes you find people have so many, and of course followers count so much, but again the quality of the followers also determine, because there are people who have hundreds of followers, but they are not really followers that add value to the nature of their work. Okay, you're better off having 1,000 followers who are critical to agricultural extension, to agricultural policy, advisory services, and all that, than have 10,000 followers who are just, people who barely even have other followers to them. People who just follow accounts, who just like anything, and they don't contribute to any conversation or dialogue on the nature of work you do. So that's how you gauge the quality of your Twitter.
And how do you get more followers? Of course, the relevance of your of the content you post, but when you say the relevance, is there something, some specific points that you want to recommend to make it more relevant, more attractive, and to target some organizations and so on?
Yes, Andre. Okay, maybe just to start with, first of all, relevance. When you're looking at the tweet, the message you're going to upload, you have to first of all look at the tone of your message. Different platforms attract different people. The audience on Facebook is receptive to information differently from the audience on Twitter. So you have to know the tone you're going to use. But then you also have to know which right people to tag into your messages, okay? If, for instance, something to do with policy and you're in a country, of course, your Ministry of Agriculture is key, okay? International agencies are key. And then it's sometimes very boring to just post text only. So when you enhance your tweets with infographics, when you enhance your tweets with pictures, short videos, animations, that attracts very many people, not only to view the tweet, but to get interested in your kind of work. But again, it depends on how frequently you do that. And by frequently, I don't mean every minute or every 10 seconds, no. You can create a program and say, every week, I'll post a minimum of maybe 3 tweets, And the beauty about Twitter is you can schedule these tweets, and we are going to say how. So that sometimes when you're too busy and you can't log into Twitter to come and post, you've already scheduled the tweet that will go at a certain time. But it's also important to know that you cannot just post tweets at whatever time you want. You have to understand the online activity in the region you're in or with the people you're targeting. So most times, for some places, they say it's better to post between, let's say, 9 and 11 a.m., then maybe 2 and 4 p.m., So anything outside that may not get so much attention. And then, of course, it's also very important to try and get icons, like people who have very big followings, but they are also interested in areas that you focus on. So that once in a while, they can pick up your tweets or your messages and broadcast them. Just imagine someone who has 30,000 followers retweeting one of your tweets. That brings so much following to your organization's page or even to your individual account. So,
yes, thank you so much, Maureen, for this insight.
So, I saw a hand up. I saw someone's hand up. There's something I still wanted to show, but let me just finish that, then maybe we can get into the Q&A bit of it. So, so now that we've seen how we edit our bio and everything, I would like us. Yes, is someone speaking?
Oui, Andre.
Oui, techno.
Oui, André.
Oui, c'est qui?
Est-ce que c'est Soumaoro? Ibrahima Soumaoro. Mali.
Ah, d'accord. Oui.
Voilà. La majorité des présentations sont faites en anglais.
Oui, malheureusement, aujourd'hui, il n'y a pas de traduction. Bon, je peux toujours résumer après.
Oui, oui.
Donc, oui, là, on est donc sur la formation Twitter. Elle a expliqué un peu tous les aspects. Bon,
Oui,
ce
oui.
qu'on peut faire aussi, c'est qu'on peut faire une autre session vraiment en français plus tard. Si vous pensez que c'est très nécessaire, on va rassembler les francophones et on va faire une autre formation en francophone pur.
Ok.
Oui.
D'accord, il n'y a pas de souci.
Okay. So Ibrahim's concern is that everything is in English. So I told him we can do another training in French.
Okay.
If it's really necessary later.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would definitely take lead on that because I'm handicapped when it comes to French.
Okay. Yes. Sure.
Thank you, Andre. So I think for those, I hope we've been able to do some edits. I'm really hoping we have. But when you look at the screen again to your left, just below the Twitter icon, there are so many things you can see to it. And this is where most people don't pay attention. So of course, there are things like the home, it just brings you to this entire home page. When you look at the notifications, that is what I mentioned, that when your Twitter handle is mentioned, if I clicked on them, when your Twitter handle is mentioned, then you see who is writing about you, or who is talking about you, or who is mentioning your organization. So if you go ahead to click any of these tweets, you will see that there is something about AFAAS info being mentioned. So either people are retweeting, or they are quoting, or they are mentioning what you tweeted earlier and all that. So that's what the notification does. So when someone calls out your handle, that's when you see the notifications activated. So depending on how many times people have mentioned you, you will see the number here. And then when we go to messages, it just shows private messages. This is like sending you a private message. So when someone writes to you privately, you can access it through the messages and you can see them. And then I'd mentioned lists, they can be created here, but what I want to focus on mainly is the profile. So I will focus on the profile today. So when you click on the profile, just a minute. No, actually what I want to focus on is the settings and privacy, sorry. The profile just brings us back to what we have on their first page. As you can see, we're advertising the training, and then the East African field schools, we're talking about a training that happened and thanking people. So you can see it's just the messages that AFAAS keeps sharing. But when you go to more here, there is something here that has settings and privacy. So when you click on this function, you should be able to change so many things about your account. And there are so many settings here about each of them has an icon that gives you the details of everything. Even when you want to deactivate your account, you can deactivate your account, you can change your password. For some of you who open Twitter and have never changed the password since, you stand a risk. So occasionally, you're encouraged to change your password. You can check the phone number and the email address that the account is registered to. Because for instance, some of you are new in organizations and you've replaced someone who had used maybe a different phone number or a different email. And yet these are very critical when you lose your password. So once you have access to the account, please try and check under which email, under which phone number the account is registered. so that you update it. And then you can change the password. You can download an archive of your data. This one is mainly good for people who are writing reports, say on Twitter. I don't want to click each of them because they will take a lot of our time. I just want to show you the possibilities so that we explore these as part of our learning. So you can check, and then of course, for people who use TweetDeck, it's no longer as popular as it was. You can invite teams. So I encourage that we explore each of these. So you can see the security to access the account. You have to manage your account security. You can change who accesses, who doesn't, how they access. If you want to make it a private account, which we discourage for organization accounts. And then of course, your privacy. You see, your Twitter activity. Manage which people you are allowed to see your tweets, who writes to you direct messages, the issues on data. There's so much to explore here. So I encourage that we do what? We change whatever has to be changed and whatever can be changed. And then there's an issue of notifications again. You can change that. And then language, manage which languages are used. So you can check what languages are available. Definitely, I know English, there's French. I don't know which others there are, but it's also good for us to find out and explore. And then of course, the additional resources still for you to check out and see what you can make out of them. So if we go back to home, if I went very fast, where we've been is you go to more and then settings and privacy. Very, very important aspect of Twitter to know. Then you see that you have Twitter suggests to you some people that you may like, and Twitter does this based on what you post. But you can also search. So for instance, who could we search for? Who would you want us to search for so that that you think AFAAS is not following yet, so that we follow that person today? So this is where the search function is. You click, and like I said, you start with the @ symbol to call out someone's hashtag. So who can volunteer someone we could search for? Is there anyone here that AFAAS doesn't follow, so that you give us your Twitter handle and we follow you?
You can follow anyone, but not Donald Trump.
Yes. Thomas.
Thomas, like this? Sorry. Thomas who? There are so many Thomases.
Thomas Davito.
Thomas, first spell for me.
Daa. Let me check. No, it is TMO. Please start again. O.
TMO. Is it like this?
Please write in the chat box.
Oh, he's writing in the chat box, so I need to stop.
Thomas.
Sharing.
TMO. TH. Sorry. H. TH. Yes. O. O. Yeah. M. D.
D.
Yeah. AV.
This one.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So this is Thomas. Let's look at his bio before I follow him. Those are the things you do. You don't just follow Thomas because you know Thomas. Huh? So he says MS, agricultural extensionist, specialist on, yes, he's from Benin, president of this. And then he puts he hashtags his areas of interest, digital, agriculture, innovation. And he's from the Republic of Benin, and he joined in 2014. So can anyone give me any feedback in relation to Thomas's bio? What do you see? What do you like? What don't you like? What would you advise based on what we've discussed? Any volunteer? Please just unmute and speak if you have any comment. Oh my God, so.
I have,
Hi
yes,
everyone.
Okay.
I'm
profile to the footnote.
Mentions AFAAS Benin, CIKM, which I think is very key for such. So I think you can follow Thomas.
Okay, thank you. Somebody else?
Malal. I'm Malal from Madagascar.
Agriculture.
Yes.
Yeah. I propose to Thomas to make some emoticon, so it is more attractive.
Okay. I hope Thomas is taking notes. Anyone else? Okay, anyway, that's how you search, and then
Yeah, but maybe a question to Thomas. What is the background banner there? Is it a stadium?
good
What is it
question.
exactly?
Okay. I don't remember this.
Yeah, so that is one area of improvement then, huh?
Yes.
And also
And
your
then-
profile.
Yes, you.
Yes, his
I
bio
think
picture.
that's it. Yes, yes. I will change. I will change it.
Because we have to see your face, Thomas.
Okay. Oh, you didn't see my. You don't see my face.
We see it, but that can be anyone. It's not very clear.
Oh, okay. Okay. I will change. I change my profile picture.
Okay. All right. So what about for organizations? Is there anyone who manages an organization account so that we check it out and see? Just one, very quick. So I'll follow Thomas for now for learning purposes. We'll see about how we retain that following.
Okay,
All
thank you.
Any organization account that we can see and critique very quickly?
ID.
Is this Thomas? I need someone else to volunteer.
Which country has just started a Twitter account this year? And who needs some advice?
You can check the chat.
Sorry?
Please check the chat.
Oh, the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, the chat. So I just need to first stop sharing, then I check because I cannot. Let me just check.
So you may follow UFAS. That's one advice here, and
UFAS.
South African, yeah, and South African for AFAAS also.
SAFA. EAS. Okay, I'll check it out. Let's first see UFAS.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any quick critique? Any quick feedback on UFAS?
Many green.
Too much green.
Okay. We're already following, so it shows that we're already following. If you want to unfollow, you just click until it changes, and you can click and follow, but we're already following as AFAAS. So too much green, and then the banner picture really, I don't know what it's communicating. But
it's a new registration template.
Okay, that to me seems a bit misplaced, because that seems more internal and maybe to members, but now Twitter is for the bigger audience. You're trying to win people to your page and to your account. And So an action picture
Okay.
would be excellent.
Actually,
Yeah.
I launched a registration form for all extension workers in the country, and that is it.
That's why you upload. But now you see, if you don't explain that to me,
Events, and yeah, I may need to change it.
yes. So just make it an action picture, and then maybe when you tweet, you can explain and post that registration and explain what it's all about and all that. But for me, who comes to your page, first thing I see is what will either keep me there or take me away. I don't have to think about what does this picture mean, what are they trying to communicate. No, I should just be wowed by what I see. So, what about the bio, the text in the bio?
On behalf of Makerere University.
Okay, so we check for another one.
Welcome to our fellows who are around this one. Welcome that you come to day 2. And those of you who have joined us for day 2.
Oh, is someone in another meeting? Hello? Okay, let me first stop sharing. Hello, can I be heard? Hello?
No, yeah.
Can I be heard?
Yes,
Okay, I'll stop sharing for now. Oh, thanks, you hear me. All right, so I think that gives us just a very brief summary and short understanding of what Twitter is about. But I want us to try and create a tweet and to schedule another one, at least for this week. For those of us who have opened Twitter or who have organizational Twitter accounts, let's at least post 2 tweets today. So if you're on your Twitter, please just go on your home and update where your logo appears. Just beneath the word home, I'll just share my screen shortly. You put you post something. It could be about this training, it could be about an activity that happened. Let me just share the screen again. Okay. So this is where I am. So this is where we will type our tweet. Let's say, I'll say we are currently. This is just as an example. I'm not going to use this. Training on social media. Of course, this is a very vague message, but when you look, for instance, just the tweet below me here, which is from Agra, they are quoting someone, and that's the Minister of Higher Education of Rwanda, who said there is need to strengthen and transform our current food systems into holistic food systems, which will change how we interact with food and its impact on livelihoods. And they quoted, okay? So that's a worthy tweet to share. So I want us to share something. I will not dictate on what we share, but once we've done the tweet, I would encourage if we can add a picture to it, like you see a picture like this, or something that is catchy, that would be very beautiful. But once we share that, I would also want us to schedule another tweet. that will go out someday during this week, but before the week ends. Okay? So to schedule that, we go to that same place of writing the tweet, but then just below it, we have several icons. So there's an icon where you can add an image, this first one. There's an icon where you can add a graphics, like let's say an animation or some graphic video or something. And then there's an icon where you can create a poll. This, you can ask questions and then tweet them. And then there's an icon where you can insert an emoji to your tweet. So you can put a laughing emoji or anything and it will appear in your tweet. But the last icon, if we all see it, is where you schedule your tweet. If you click on it, so today is 24th, but I can schedule this tweet for, let's say, November, maybe 26th, you see. And then I can even schedule the time I want it to go. So maybe in the morning, at 8 in the morning, at exactly 8 a.m. in the morning. And then this is my time here, it's a Nairobi time. And then I confirm. When I click confirm on 26th November at exactly 8, this tweet will go out. So the assignment I want you to do now is for you to write your tweet for today and tweet it as you have written it. Once you've tweeted it, you come back, you write another tweet and schedule it. Okay? After you've done that, I encourage all those who don't follow the AFAAS page to please follow it today. And AFAAS will follow you right back. And then in our chat, kindly put the Twitter handles for the organization or the individual accounts that you use. So we will wait to see those tweets. The ones that merit retweets from AFAAS, we'll retweet them. And the ones that we see are lacking in something, we will advise on how best we can improve as we continue to tweet. So up to this point, do we have any questions? I will appreciate.
Yeah, so maybe Ajana,
Yes.
it's good. You mentioned the tone.
Yes.
Maybe you can provide some recommendation on the types of tweets that we will encourage the country fora. If you've read the chat box, Thomas is proposing that we follow AFAAS-B, AFAAS Benin, and there are many others.
Yes,
so
I'm saving them.
Yes. What should be the type of microblog that will the micro message that country for us should post periodically? I mean, you mentioned maybe 2-3 times a week, but in which occasion should they capture and release something, or how often, when should they schedule some tweets? Is it at the beginning of the week or during the weekend, or how in practice, you, for instance, how do you do to make your life easy and to always feed something in the Twitter account so that people are continuing to follow you?
Okay, very, very good questions, Andre. So I'll start with the first one, the tone and the occasions when the country fora should share this information. One, which is a very, very obvious and direct point of access for information, is meetings. For instance, when you have Zoom meetings on some of the technical work you do, you share, first of all, in the meeting proceedings, you could pick out something that is pertinent or something that really catches your attention that you feel has to be shared. The thing about tweeting or microblogging the assumption is what is appealing to you, especially in line of your work. You can be sure it will be appealing to someone else. So you first think about it and say, okay, this message actually makes sense. If we are saying that the food systems are being threatened, everyone eats food, right? And this will appeal to so many people, either agriculturalists, researchers, or people in academia or wherever. So you tweet also, you try to gauge the kind, what the audience will be receptive to. So meetings are a very good point of picking out information. You can pick out either quotes from key speakers and share them, or things that resonate with your work that are being talked about. Number two, reports. I'm sure Country Fora have reports they share from the activities they do and all that. You can pick out very key issues, highlights of those reports, and share them and compile them as tweets, short messages, but very informed messages that can make sense when someone reads them. Such that when I read the tweet, I'm actually very interested in knowing what is in the entire report. That's how it should be. And then, of course, your field trips. You go, you meet farmers. One thing I must tell you is there's so much power in quoting, for instance, a farmer you've met who is telling you what's on the ground. So imagine you get that, form it, what a farmer quotes and says, this year we've been affected by Corona, and now we are having trouble. We don't have extension workers visit us because of the social distancing and all. You know, you frame that into something that is consumable as a tweet, and you can break it down. It doesn't have to be just one tweet of 270 characters. You can make it a conversation of like 5 or 4 tweets from that one quote of a farmer. So imagine you're posting a field or a farmer saying that. You will get amazed at how much conversation you'll create in terms of retweets, in terms of quotes, in terms of likes and all that. And then, of course, the last and very simple source is retweets. You don't have to always be the originator of the tweet. Sometimes someone tweets exactly what you would want to say, but maybe they even tweet it better. So if you agree and you feel that this is something that adds value, you simply retweet. So that is how those are some of the sources of information. But also when you tweet, please don't forget to always tag people, the relevant people. Don't tag everyone, please. Because when you tag everyone, they'll unfollow you. Tag people you know that message goes to occasionally. And to the second question, Andre, I think the beginning of the week and midweek are very perfect times. The only limitation with scheduling tweets on Twitter, for now, it only allows you to schedule one tweet at a time. But in the past, they used to have the hot suit. I don't know if it still works, where you would schedule even hundreds of tweets. But again, that doesn't make sense because Twitter, just like any other communication platform, the news has to always be new and dynamic. So when you schedule again too many, it becomes like monotonous and it's like a job, you know, a routine thing you have to get done with. Sometimes you have to jump on conversations as and when they are happening. Okay, so you take advantage. So I would recommend that if Country Fora can tweet beginning of the week, and then if you feel you will not be able to tweet again, maybe during the course of the week, you can schedule another tweet for midweek. And then if you're able to, you tweet again towards the end. That is if you're able, but minimum 2 tweets is good, originating from you as original tweets. Then during the course of the week, when you can, you try and look out for conversations and events happening around the continent or around your country that are in line with your work. Then you retweet, you reply to people's conversations, you ask questions, all those come out as Twitter conversations. So they keep your page very active and vibrant, and you get a very active following. Thank you. Do we have any other question, any other comment?
Well, it seems we have taken more more
Time.
time than we anticipated. So we'll
I
just
know.
work on this Twitter for today,
Yes.
and we'll see
Well,
the Facebook in the next session.
yes, I agree with you.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm seeing all the Twitter handles that people are sharing, but those are very few. I have about 4 only. What about the rest of the colleagues? Please share your Twitter handles so that we can follow, and then we try to guide during the course of the week, and also to see the tweets that you've shared today. So I'm trying to check in the chat function, and I'm not seeing many. I just have 4 only. So let's please have more more Twitter handles shared. We have at least 9 more minutes, so we can use that for questions. Okay, I've seen another one. KFAS 1 has come. Elizabeth, thank you. Share. We learn from each other, because very good. Please keep them coming. And ask
So just practice in practice. If I want Elizabeth, KFAS, PP4RD to get to follow, I mean if I want them to look at a tweet that I've sent without having to go to my Twitter account, if I just put a tag on my tweet, they will have it on their tweet page.
Yes. So for instance, maybe just to put into practice what Andre has just said, if I say, thank you all for participating in the training on social media today. So what he's saying is, if I want these people who have sent their Twitter handles to see this, sorry, what I do is I just do this. So I could say CC, meaning I'm copying, but I don't have to. So that's my tweet, thanking the people who have shared their handles, and I can just do this just to make it a bit organized.
But as you said, it has to be, the target has to be relevant. You mustn't
exactly.
Yes.
So for instance, for this tweet, it just makes sense right now because it's in this moment. It would actually be relevant because we've just done the training, and these are the people who have attended, and it's like a way of appreciating them individually and saying thank you for participating in the training, and we'll see you next time for part 2 or something. So if I tweeted this, they will all get it as notifications. So for instance, I think I will do it. Do we have any more people sharing their handles?
I think there are more.
There are more.
Benin. Oh, AFAAS Benin is there.
Yeah, here. I copied up to the last person who shared.
Okay, KFAS is there. Mali, you have also your account. Ibrahim, vous avez aussi votre compte Twitter, hein?
Oui.
Est-ce que vous pouvez écrire? Est-ce que vous pouvez écrire en bas là, dans le chat box?
Let me just, I'll come back here. Have they said? Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, there are many more there.
Samuel, you should open the Twitter account. Twitter is fun. Let me see. This is good. So now that we have your accounts, you're going to follow through this week so that the next time we have a training, another training on Facebook, we'll first start with checking who has posted what and what they are saying on Twitter. And then we'll also follow and just give you advice. Let's see. One thing that I didn't mention is please, Twitter is also a tool of advocacy. And I would encourage you to keep your advocacy to the work you do. If you decide to go political, it's at your own risk. Because when the government comes for you, AFAAS may not be there to help you. So it's just about taking responsibility and then knowing that there are repercussions when you know our governments, and people have been thrown to jail just because of a tweet. So just be very careful. Don't get overly politically emotional when you're on Twitter, unless you're ready for it. So it's just a word of advice. So, okay, so the last handle that I got is of Eddie Plak, Ethiopia. So I'm going to add Plak. Thank you. So I'm going to share that. I'll share my screen again so that we all see. And I will be expecting feedback from all of you if you get mentions. Thank you all for participating in the training today on social media. All right, so I'll just tweet this and let's see if we get notifications and who responds. And that's how the conversation on Twitter happens. Ah, this is beautiful. People have been tweeting, huh? People have been tweeting. So let's see to that particular, Kefas has already liked the tweet. Can we all see that? Kefas has liked the tweet and we expect to see feedback from most of you, and that's how we start to practice. Let's follow each other. Please look at the Twitter handles there. Follow each other. Send a tweet. I'm going to check each of the accounts today, and then I'll check during the course of the week for, yes, UFAS has also retweeted, and he has also liked. So I'll check during the course of the week to see who scheduled a tweet. So these are the people who have liked, and then we have people who have also retweeted. So like you see, like I said,
Bonsoir.
the notifications, you see there are 3 notifications. So every time someone mentions, has your hand in their tweet, you get the notification. So it's 4:28, and our training was supposed to stop at 4:30. I'll stop sharing the screen for now, but thank you so much for being very active. And again, if you have any comments, any feedback, we'll be very happy to respond to it with Andre as we prepare for the next training. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maureen. Maybe one last comment. So you can take picture and then add the comment at the bottom with Twitter. So if you are live in the field or in a meeting or somewhere else, you could do that with your smartphone. I think we have also to insist on that fresh information, up-to-date information from anywhere where an event is happening is always very welcome for those who are following you.
Yes.
So we encourage when you go in the field. I shared one report from Obed. He's not here from Malawi.
I read it.
And yes, and that report was very long, but very few people will read that, of course. But if you do a quick micro post in every site you visit, and as Maureen mentioned, quotes are very powerful. And when the farmer says, okay, we've used mulching, and then we didn't need to irrigate anymore, to water too much anymore, and so on. This kind of quotes from the farmers, from the extension workers, from the researchers, or from the village leaders also. Sometimes they are very powerful, and especially founders will like to read these things, that things are really happening within AFAAS network. So we encourage you to always be ready with your phone. And when you reach some places, you can just post from time to time, and don't forget to tag AFAAS when it's something relevant. Because we want to...
Bonsoir.
Oui, Ibrahim.
André, c'est Diabaté.
Oui, on vous écoute.
Oui. Je viens toujours de rentrer. Oui, nous étions en réunion. Donc, j'aimerais savoir si toutefois on peut faire la traduction en français, ou bien nous, les francophones, on aura notre formation après, ou bien je ne sais pas.
OK, on va organiser donc une formation pour les francophones. On va refaire une formation pour les francophones. On s'échange ça sur le WhatsApp group ou par mail. Donc, il y aura vous, il y aura Cameroun, il y aura Madagascar qui est là. Donc, on pourra faire quelque chose.
Et dans quel
pour
délai?
les pays francophones, si vous souhaitez.
Oui,
ça vous va?
Oui,
alors,
oui.
peut-être qu'on peut faire, c'est le mardi, c'est pour les anglophones, et le mercredi ou le jeudi, on fait pour les francophones. Qu'est-ce que vous préférez? Mercredi ou jeudi? Bon, le jeudi, on a parfois aussi des réunions avec les formations, donc peut-être jeudi, c'est pas très opportun, mais peut-être plutôt le mercredi. Hein?
D'accord, d'accord.
Oui.
Oui.
Alors, on peut commencer cette semaine ou la semaine prochaine? Demain, est-ce que ça vous va?
La semaine prochaine.
OK, on fait la semaine prochaine alors.
Oui, oui.
OK. Merci beaucoup. Rappelez, et puis on va mobiliser un peu les gens. Hein? Il faudra mobiliser les gens. Voilà. Okay.
Sinon, voilà, concernant Twitter et Facebook, surtout, voilà, vraiment, nos pages sont bien animées avec les activités, tout. Donc, voilà, nous avons plusieurs réseaux également, comme vous le savez. Voilà, les réseaux de Foscar ont tous également leur page Facebook. Donc, ce qui permet de nous avoir une très grande visibilité. Donc, voilà, la formation, ça va nous
Vous
être...
aurez pu partager votre handler ici. Hein? Oui, comme ça, on peut vous poster quelque chose et vous suivre aussi. Parce que tout le monde a écrit dans le chat box le sien là. Donc, si vous pouvez, ce serait tant mieux. So I'm just summarizing what the discussion with the French-speaking country. They would like to have also some trainings for them, and so we are discussing about having a French-speaking training on Wednesday. So Tuesdays will be for the English, and then Wednesday will be for French, and we'll see how to concretize that.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, there is one hand raised.
Yes,
Malala.
Malala.
Yes. After the Facebook training, what is the next training? How about Instagram or Pinterest or other?
There are several others. We have blogs.
Yes,
there is a whole package.
Probably starting, not probably, but as you know, we have planned a series of training for the CIKM, and the third training after after the WordPress and the video was initially it was experience capitalization. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to engage someone for that yet. But just today, this morning, we've been discussing with AFAAS people, with CTA people. So there will be one trainer from CTA who will bring us in the experience capitalization training, starting probably also next week or the following one. So we'll go. Maybe we'll have two trainings in per week, starting next week if we agree. Let's discuss a little bit about that. We need to catch up a little bit. So there will be experience capitalization. There will be Facebook. There will be blogging, and we'll see if we can finish that during this year. That is the information that I have for now. Yeah. But in any case, this one, the Facebook will be, I think it's one of the most used in Africa. So if not the most used, so we'll have to use it, and let's use it in a professional way, not just personal account, but we also need to use it in a very professional environment. So this is the next training that we plan to have. So I think we are done now.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I've shared the video and the presentation slides. So if anyone has any other questions or anything more to ask, I'll be very available to help, even on a one-on-one basis.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maureen. Thank you, everybody, and see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.